Hello, this is Zach. I thought I would record one of the series of classes that I have done here in Bristol that people have found helpful for anyone who doesn't live in Bristol or wasn't able to make it or what have you. So this is what I call my ripples in a pond theory, because it came from a couple of years back. There's my head. A couple of years back I was given the feedback that my arms looked disconnected from the rest of my body when I was dancing, which was probably true at the time. So I sat there in the evening thinking, okay, I was watched a whole room of dancers thinking, what do some of them do that makes them great to watch compared to others who I'm like, it doesn't quite look as good. And my realization was, in geek terms, transverse waves. In human terms, it was this idea of, like ripples in a pond starting from one point, they had one motion that would kind of start in their chest and then spread out down their arms or down through their legs, down their spine into their legs. And this is what I've now been working on for the last 2 years. So now I'm going to break it down for you. This is part one, where we're just going to talk about the torso and maybe the legs a bit. So yeah, this is, first we're going to have a look at how kind of the chest leads and then the hips catch up. Mode 1 is going to be turning, because it's the easiest one. If you just kind of relax a bit, shake out, get your soft knees and what have you, and you should be able to twist a bit, and you'll be able to see that my hips are staying fairly still. You can do that if you really want to. This is showing that yes, we can move our chest independently of our hips. It's fairly easy. From there, you can play the robot game, which is, noises are encouraged but not compulsory, especially if you're doing it at home by yourself. I'll let you decide. Where I want to turn, not much. If it was a clock, I'd be going from 12 to 1, maybe 2. Yeah, 12 to 1, something like that. And you make silly noises. You just turn your chest first and then let your hips catch up separately, where you go, then go back the other way, you go. For this, you do need to have quite a relaxed torso, because you can't do it when you're stiff. Otherwise, you turn all at once like this, which is very different from that. So have a little go. Go and feel there's this little bit of stretch that happens, and then you release it. So you play a bit of that. Once that starts to feel comfortable, do it smoothly. So without the silly noises, you can go 1, 2. Where you're going chest, hips, doosh, 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 and get used to that feeling of your hips catching up. You can go chest and hips. You can do one and then the other go chest, chest, or doosh, or make that a very small gap. Okay, cool. I'll let you pause there and then you can carry on. Pause, shimmy, unpause. Cool. So hopefully you've now in that time got the hang of this thing, chest, hips, motion going on turning wise. You can take that a stage further still, where it carries on. I think of it as torsional wave's not really a thing, I'm going to pretend it's a thing, as this unwrapping motion that happens, and it can carry on going even to your leg, down your leg into your feet. So you can go twist, 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 and back the other way. It kind of whoosh, whoosh, which is very different from that. Boosh, everything down here turning at once. Doosh, 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 boosh, doosh, 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 doosh. So see if you can get a feeling of that motion coming around and carrying on instead of all of hips downwards turning at once. Cool. So pause, unpause, whatever. If you've got the hang of the twisty one, next one is the side to side one, where it's gonna look a little bit like this at the end, where you've got chest going before your hips. But step one, we've got another game which I call the typewriter game. Because if you imagine when you type in a typewriter, the thing slides to side, then you hit it and then it pops back across. Not like that. Oh yeah, I have used a typewriter once. Because sit there, see, pretend you're sitting on a stool or something, because you want your hips to not move very much. This is best done in front of a mirror, because then you can see that everything is not moving like if you're tilting or anything else. So you can go like, first have a little go at moving this bit of chest, not much, I'm moving like an inch maybe, moving from like there to there. I'm not like trying to go as far as possible because your body's not used to doing this, and I'm still not very good at doing that to big degrees. It only has to be small. So have a little like side to side wiggle, see if you can do that. Try sticking your arms out because that shows if you're wobbling much. And you can go doosh, side, side, side. Like, do it really small if you want to do it really small. Boosh, boosh. So then practice this. Again, silly noises, encouraged, not compulsory. You can go, like start out slightly to one side and go type, 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 ching, shtuk. Type, 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 ching, doosh. Type, 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 ching, doosh. And yeah, if you're doing it in front of a mirror, see how still you can keep your hips and see like how nicely you can make that slide happen. Do, 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 ding, tuk, ding, tuk, ding, tuk, ding, tuk, or something like that. So yeah, this is your chance to pause, have a go, unpause, whatever. From there, because we want the same like hips then, like chest and hips catching up feeling. So we do the reverse typewriter, where you go, you start out to one side again, and you go ch-ch-ch-ch-ch, ding, da-da-da-da-da-da, ding, and again you get that da-da-da-da-da, like there's this little stretch that you then want to be like, oh, now I'm going to release it by coming kind of back to neutral. It's very different from boosh and going out to the other side. Like, try thinking about coming back to the point where you're now like kind of happy and stacked again. So you're going to you can, if you want to, start playing with smoothing it out, where you go which I just find entertaining because it's fun. So yeah, have a play with that, and play with like paying attention to, oh, there's a stretch and then it releases, and there's a stretch and then it releases. Because from there, if you can guess, similar thing, see if you can do it just like smoothing it out. Like boosh, doosh. I find it sometimes helpful to put like a hand on kind of, yeah, belt buckle or whatever, and going straight doosh, because then you can really like see and feel it. And see if you can get that kind of rib slidey motion going on. Because it does like apply in different ways later, but for now, play with keeping it flat. Cool. Tea break, obviously, British, having tea. So far we've got our twisty ones and our slidey ones. An extra bit for if you're practicing, I sometimes go back to doing it like wrong or the old way, or so that I can feel the difference. So I might go back to, okay, moving all at once, or moving hip first, and now go back to moving like chest first, and like play with the difference of that, which lots of people do when they start, because they see hips appearing, because my hips there appear because they're left behind. Bush hip being left behind, which is very different from hip, 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 or whatever. So lots of people like dance like this to begin with because look, hips. It's like, no, let's like try and calm that shit down. So yeah, I go from like practice doing it, what I now think of as my aim, to what I'm trying to avoid, and like, yeah, that feels weird now, let's go back again. Oh yeah, this does feel nice. And play with going back and forth between the two. I'll mention that this probably will feel really weird for a long time. I've been doing this for like 2 years now. A lot. Like, I used to stand there waiting for the kettle to boil at work, going da 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 ching, without noises, because then people couldn't hear me, and that was fine. But it gradually now feels like the really natural way of doing things. Which brings us on to mode 3. So we've had twisty, side to side. Now we need pull forward, back as well, which in lots of blues things we've heard about pendulum pulses and stuff like that, which often gets taught a bit like this, which is fine. It does feel to me a little bit like a white boy to reggae giggle. I'm like, yeah, reggae, or whatever. I don't have a silly game for this one. I'm welcoming suggestions, but the aim again is to have like your hips lag that little bit behind your chest. So I'm like, I start with this kind of all of my torso moving, like rotating around here at once motion, And then I go, okay, chest, hips, chest, hips, chest, hips, chest, and I'm like, okay, there's neutral. And I move my chest, and there's neutral. Douche down to neutral, douche down to neutral. And you should feel like this rolling, like, wave down the spine. In the same way that here you got it going do-do-do-do-douche, or here you got it going do-do-do-do-do-douche. Here it should go do-do-do-do-do-douche, or here do-do-do-do-do-douche. So you can, like, and then you can play with doing that kind of continuous where you're rotating around here, and your hips are catching up. These are pretty much, can you see that? Yeah, so see if you can play with that and get it smooth. Cool, good luck. I missed out talking about feet with side to side. So side to side, if I just backtrack a bit, we were doing this. Like we talked about rotational, see if you can play with that motion going down and not being a like full, okay, everything here down now shifts across. See if you can make it go down into, like, down your leg into your foot. So it goes like slide, 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 slide. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Because otherwise that's very different from bush, 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 doosh da da, doosh da da. And it, like, yeah, because the aim is to make everything, every part of your body part of this one continuous motion, and being like boosh da isn't quite the same as doosh da ba 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 ba, and letting that kind of flow. The same will then happen with your forward back one, where you might go like up 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 up, and down 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 down, and up 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 up, and down 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 down. Because then your leg kind of gets involved in this motion. Cool. So yeah, practice putting the legs into all three modes at the same time. Because then the final step is that these aren't things to do individually by themselves. You start mixing them together in different ways. And that takes you, once you put them together, because often, like, you get the dad dancing mode where we tell people to do weight shifts and to make nice clear weight shifts, which is true, but it does cause people to do this, which isn't that exciting, or without moving their feet doing this. I'm like, let's try and fix that. So, if we, like, get our kind of pendulumy, wavy, this is pretty much a body roll at this point, but I pretend it's not. So you've got like this kind of forward backwards motion on one leg. This is now my pulse, and then to switch my weight shift now becomes that side to side motion combined with that pulse, which if you want you can see here. And because I had this like leg going up and down a little bit naturally, that's what lets it break contact with the floor and catch up. Boosh da da. So everything now comes from here, goes doosh, and move to the side and move to the side. And I can add a rotation in if I want to. Boosh da ah ba boosh. Where now I'm really mixing like the three together. Boosh. Then you can start playing with like different ideas of like doing a tilt instead of a slide. Doosh da da, boosh da da, boosh. And play with these kind of things. So that is the torso and leg portion of this ripples in the pond theory. How long is this video? I think that's long enough. If people appreciated this, I can also talk about arms, but it's a similar idea of like movement coming from the chest and spreading down the arm as opposed to just moving an arm or moving like I'm a little teapot style. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Catch you later.